right, last art criticism of 7th grade. If we look at the top up here, we have the title information for our final slide. So it says artist name is Richard Estes. The title is Madison Square, as in the Madison Square that is in New York City. And the date was 1994. I believe that's before any of you were born by a significant amount of time. Go ahead and fill those things in. Pause me when you're ready to continue to describe. Unpause me. Alright, time for describe. This time it says list 5 things that you see in this artwork. Now there's a lot going on here, so we should have at least 5 things. We can say there are buildings. We have trees, we have people, we have a crosswalk, we have a globe in the window, we have graffiti, we have a sidewalk, we have traffic lights. What else do we have? We have some cars in the distance, we got some sky. More than enough things, right? Go ahead and fill in at least 5 of those in your describe section. Pause me when you're ready to continue to analyze. Unpause me. Analyze. For the analyze sections, the directions say incomplete sentences. Explain what types of forms you see and where in the artwork you see them. Also tell me one object in the foreground, middle ground, and background. Okay, so when we did forms in our notes, we talked about forms that are created by shading, forms that are created by perspective, and forms that are created by shading and perspective. Which of those 3 are used in this one? Shading, perspective, or shading and perspective? Exactly. So the forms in this artwork are created by shading and perspective. I don't know if you can hear that giant truck outside my door. Okay. The next one says, tell me one object in the foreground, one object in the middle ground, and one object in the background. So we can say, in the foreground, there is a window, a globe, etc., etc., etc. In the middle ground, there are people, trees, traffic lights. Should probably have like ands in here. And. And then finally, in the background, there are skyscrapers and cars. Okay, obviously there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you could write for any of those. Technically, you only need one thing from each of those, so go ahead and fill in those sentences. Go ahead and pause me until you are ready to move on to the interpret slide, and unpause me when you are ready. Here we go with interpret. So we're going to read this little blurb right over here, and then you're going to answer, how did the invention of the camera affect the creation of this artwork? So just a reminder, this is a painting. It is not a photograph. After the invention of photography in the 1800s, artists began to question their role in the world. After all, the camera efficiently translates the three-dimensional world into 2 dimensions. That was a job that previously only artists could do. In the 1960s, a group of artists known as the photorealists embraced the camera as an artistic tool. They began photographing their subjects, then creating extremely realistic drawings and paintings based on those photographs. Like this one. American contemporary artist Richard Estes is one of the founders of photorealism. He is best known for his cityscape paintings, like this one of New York City. To create a painting, Estes photographs the scene, then develops a composition based on the photograph. So he takes a picture of a real location, and then he crops down to the part that he wants, and that's how his composition of what the layout looks like is created. Because the camera captures more detail than the human eye can perceive, the paintings are more vivid and the perspective more complex than could be achieved without using photos. So what I want you to do is, using particularly this paragraph right here, tell me, how did the invention of the camera affect the creation of this artwork? So if we didn't have a camera, you could never have gotten this. Why? Answer in a complete sentence. Pause me while you work on that. Unpause me when you are ready for the judgment slide. Alright, so for this final judgment slide over here, it just asks you, is this a good painting? Why or why not? So looking at this picture right here, if it's good, tell me why it's good. If it's bad, tell me why it's bad. And then you can go ahead and submit this, and you are done with art criticism number 5.